operator right now?
Really, I can get super specific with dealer listings and see cars based on my budget.
You can really have it delivered.
Or pick it up.
Mommy,
I
look!
think kid is walking up the slide.
Really? Auto Trader. Buy your car online. Really?
Protect your home and property today with quality direct home insurance. Western Mutual Insurance Group is A-rated by AM Best and has been insuring homeowners for over 80 years. Get a free, no-hassle 30-second quote online at westernmutual.com to see how much you can save on your annual premium. Our agents are ready to assist you in comparing your current policy, and we have over 90% customer satisfaction reported. westernmutual.com. That's westernmutual.com. Direct, reliable, affordable.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you? How's everything?
You're supposed to be hosting. One weekend off, and then all of those out the window. How are you? Are you back home?
I am back home. I'm back home. For those who don't know, I was just in the Kursk Oblast. I went to Suja and some surrounding villages, was able to see the full extent of the ongoing special military operation and, of course, the liberation of the Kursk Oblast.
For those of you who don't know, the person speaking in DDG politics right now is Chris Halali. He is, if I remember correctly, the international liaison for the executive board.
Ukro-Nazis and all of their proxies. There are some pictures from the... I'm joined there by two priests. They're priests. One's a monk, one's an active priest who have also joined in the fight to defend Russia and to defend their homeland. And it was really an amazing opportunity. I want to give a shout out to the phenomenal soldiers and military police of the North Group, who were unbelievably professional. They took me around. There was outgoing fire, there was incoming fire, there was a drone strike that happened right when we were in Suja, about less than a kilometer away. They kept me safe. They kept me, always aware of the surrounding situation, and for that I'm very honored. We're gonna have a lot of material.
The Ukrainian war has actually been very consequential in terms of the development of infantry and small unit tactics. The introduction of drones into that equation in really the first major conventional war in probably over a generation, at least in the Western awareness. Of course, there were others, obviously, but for example, the war between Iraq and Iran, wars like that. But for sure, since the global war on terror, the first, really major conventional war between two major world powers, those world powers being Russia and then NATO by proxy. And drone warfare has drastically changed the realities on the ground and the tactics that have to be used in order to survive and dominate in that conflict.
So I hope that you can follow us at DD Geopolitics. Make sure that you're tuning into this exclusive footage that we're going to have. We're going to put it on all of our social media out there. Know what you think. It's really a phenomenal opportunity. I'm one of the only foreign journalists to be allowed into Suja after it has been retaken. Patrick Lancaster also went outside of Suja and with Ahmad, and I went with the North Group. So it's phenomenal, really phenomenal to be able to get in there, and the operation continues. We're advancing on all fronts. What can I say? Victory is coming. Whether it's tomorrow or in a year or 2 years. At the end of the day, victory belongs to Russia. And I'm sorry for all of the NAFO folks out there, but you're going to take the big L. The question is, how big of an L do you want?
Patrick Lancaster, we have to get him on the show. He's always so busy. He's like everywhere. He's more Carmen Sandiego than you, I think. Speaking of priests, though, we are reading From Yahweh to Zion.
Oh.
I'm going to mess up this name, Laurent Goyanon.
I like it. French name?
French name, Laurent. We started chapter 1 last night. We're continuing chapter 2 later tonight. It's a fantastic, fantastic book. The author actually contacted me, and he may be coming tonight, but we're definitely going to set up something for everybody to talk to him. So that's happening right now. But other than that, I can't even pay attention to the news cycle. That's why I asked you to host the show. I mean, I know vaguely what's going on, but it's like total chaos. I mean, Nicki Minaj is in the White House today. So kind of like
More crazy than that.
yeah, so we're gonna talk about not the White House. Well, it's involving the White House, but we're gonna go away from Washington, the circus of Washington D.C.
Yeah, it's really interesting. A while back, there's this photo taken of Nicki Minaj when she was much younger, with the Pope of all people, and this is Pope Ratzinger way back in the day, and she was wearing all red. You know, so like there's this whole, I really am fascinated and kind of on the fence about this sort of narrative about, the Vatican being sort of like Babylon the Great. And so for her to juxtapose, wearing, all red, which is, the color, the Scarlet Woman, which is the Whore of Babylon, in that setting was just interesting. And that was way back in the day. Like she was just starting to be a big deal when that happened. This was years and years ago. So it's very interesting that she's continued to be sort of in the spotlight. It just makes you think. It makes you wonder, what it is that she represents. Because it's not so obvious. Because, if it was Jay-Z or Beyonce, then obviously, okay, well, obviously it's the Epstein crowd that they're representing. But you have Nicki Minaj, and prima facie, she's the face of the opposition to that. And yet you see this sort of Whore of Babylon symbolism early on in her career. So it kind of makes you stop and pause and think about what's going on there, because who knows, like maybe she was being groomed for that and then she repented, or maybe she's still operating in that sort of false dialectic that the elites like to play against us. So who knows? Food for thought.
A lot going on. Everybody right now, I'm sure, is feeling the pressure of all of the events happening simultaneously. We've got social media under oligarchic Zionist control. We have a possible war with Iran.
Yeah, and what is that? Oligarchic Zionist control. How is it possible that our entire political class, with the exception of a few people, is totally controlled by the Zionist lobby? How is that possible?
The Gaza dystopia unfolding before our very eyes. We have multiple fronts opening up around the world. Venezuela now and the U.S. are headed back towards a collision course, it looks like. Iraq and the U.S. We have the upcoming elections, which we'll talk about there. Overall, things are heating up. So
it's interesting that you should mention Venezuela and Iraq in the same breath, because in both of these cases, you're dealing with profound American hubris and ineptitude. In Iraq, when we invaded Iraq, we invaded Iraq because of the petrodollar, because Iraq was using, I want to say, what was it, euros, selling oil for euros, and so we cracked down on them. Basically, we took Saddam out, and then we did regime change. Now, taking Saddam out, like, that's par for the course. Like, that's also what we did in Libya for the same reason. Like, taking out world leaders in order to bring countries back into the fold of the petrodollar, that's just, run-of-the-mill imperialism. But to install a democratic regime in Iraq, unbelievable hubris. That's the kind of hubris that really could have only been possible in the George W. Bush administration, where, sort of American arrogance was really at its height. And then in Venezuela, you have this whole idea where Trump is like, oh, well, I'm going to take the oil and this, that, and the other. The oil's not even usable. And to develop the oil and to develop the refining would take decades. And not only does he not control the government there, he only basically kidnapped the leader of the country and his wife But even more importantly, he doesn't control the military or the militia. The military and the militia are, overall, from what I understand, staunchly loyal to Maduro. So again, it's just a fool's errand. Like, I don't even understand why we did it. It's so strange.
It's important to keep your minds open, stay sharp, and to continue to take care of one another.
We do have a clip on from Suja, and but before that, you mentioned the Epstein takeover, Ellison takeover of TikTok. Just the Epstein takeover, really.
Epstein takeover.
People are moving in droves over to Upscrolled. I'm not saying that I'm endorsing the app, but we are on it. You can find us on it. I don't know enough about it to say we're endorsing it. But we are on there, and it's pretty fun. You can find Timmy. She's running our Upscrolled account. But yeah, guys, the stuff going on TikTok, please understand what they're doing. They won't let you talk about Epstein, but they're fine with you doxing ICE agents and causing all kinds of chaos inside of why would that be okay? Isn't that interesting? Just, remember those sorts of things while you're seeing this sort of strategic censorship on these apps.
Yeah, it's almost like ICE is the bright, shiny object that they want us to look at. And this kind of gets into, like, my attitude towards law enforcement in general. I understand that, like, law enforcement does not represent the people overall. It represents financial interests. And, well, I mean, it really exists to protect property rights, right? And that's a whole can of worms in and of itself. And depending on the jurisdiction that you're in, you may be dealing with an extraordinarily corrupt police department. And so these are all, very valid and crucial criticisms of policing from a Marxist perspective. At the same time, the reality is that at this point in time, we rely on law enforcement to investigate and prosecute crime. And, if we're out, like, screaming about defund the police and, evict every ICE agent when we don't have, like, a solution, it's going to lead nowhere except to cause more conflict and to kind of, like, push us closer to civil war. A civil war that they want to control, because the optics of, attacking ICE agents who are trying to, whether you like it or not, they're, what they're trying to do is they're trying to enforce, immigration law. Now, whether or not the way they're going about it is legitimate, you could say it's not. There's a case to be made there. Whether or not the laws themselves should be reformed, that's a legitimate conversation. But when ICE agents are being attacked for enforcing the law as it stands, I think overall it's going to end up being constructive. We'll see. I still have my eyes open for it to see, like, how that situation develops. But it is interesting that, ICE is being used as the bright, shiny object to distract from Epstein. That's very interesting.
But we do have from Chris's trip to the front. So let's take a little look.
You can see just this utter devastation that was wrought. I mean, this really was a campaign. I spoke with the soldiers there in the North group, the North troops, and I said that this reminded me very much of Sherman's march to the Atlantic. Like, it was utter devastation. They destroyed as much as they could as they were going. And I'm talking about the Ukrainian regime forces. They burned houses, targeted churches. Now, I talk more about that in detail, but I just want you to know that they were so calculated. They specifically targeted church domes because they're the weakest part of the church, so that they could catch fire and the domes would collapse on people inside. Just so you can imagine the brutality and the barbarism there. So we were able to see destroyed churches, destroyed hospitals, destroyed schools, destroyed residential and commercial facilities. not to mention infrastructure. We went nearby to a former jail, which had been in active use when the Ukrainians came, and they absolutely decimated the place, and there were a lot of massacres that took place. So I just want to say that this was a campaign of terror that was wrought by the Ukrainian regime forces, especially also the mercenaries, the Poles, the Georgians, and others, who many commented on the brutality and the horrific crimes that they committed against the people in the Kursk Oblast. So once again, real thanks to the North Group for making this trip possible and for really taking care of me. And I hope that we can go back again. They're really excited to take us even deeper and deeper to see the devastation. There's a lot of...
People don't understand, like people who support Ukraine in this war and think Russia's the aggressor, they don't really understand the sequence of events. There's been a civil war in that country since 2014. And from that time on, the Banderites, which represent a significant portion ideologically of the Ukrainian people and are actually tied to like actual bona fide historical Nazis, have been committing a genocide against the Russian people in eastern Ukraine. And after Zelensky took power, it escalated. It escalated to the point that they actually banned the Russian language. So like they're actually trying to culturally genocide the Russian people in eastern Ukraine. Let's see, how do I stop this? I don't know how to end the stream. Let's see here. Okay. I guess just X out of it.